Okay, so now I'm gonna clean a bit. So we have seen that we don't need any more this method, sorry, get gigabytes decimals, as we are not rounding anymore. So I'm gonna remove this. Yes, we are using the truncat decimals now, and we are gonna do a bit of cleaning as well in here. So well, that will be a float for real, and the second one will be I total gigabytes. Okay. So for the percentage used, we want to have 2 decimal positions. And we will use this. We want 2 positions, so okay. And finally this one. And this is I see an error. Just gigabytes. And that's an integer. This is not a percentage, this should be a gigabyte number, so just, and then I see another error, just gigabytes. Yeah, that's 3 gigabytes. And yes, we want decimal. So a bit of messing here. Okay. If you are wondering how I scroll like this fast, it's with Control and the key cursors. I don't know in Mac how that will be. Okay, so let's run this. 7 gigabytes, total 467. Okay. So here I have to replace percentage %d for f, because it's a float, it's not an integer. And yeah, and Okay, I'm gonna remove this one because it's redundant, as now I'm gonna use f total gigabytes. Yeah, and I'm gonna call f total gigabytes as the f floats the nodes that has decimals, and I'm gonna remove this one as I'm not using this variable. Okay. Okay, so now this is acting a bit different as I was expecting, because I was not expecting these zeros at the end. So it will be a good idea to implement a string function to return always what we want. So what we can do is, for example, let's do this. And then we will convert this from float to a string. So in here, this will be a string, this will be a string, this will be a string. And if we run now. Okay, so that shows that instead of printing like that, we should have a function or a method later when we go with object-oriented programming that tests that this is returning what we expect. So I will say, for example, return gigabyte number, and I will say, okay, a kind of a string. I will add here, yeah, I will get a float. I will get a float for the gigabytes, and I will have a unit. And by default it will get gigabytes. So I will say something like that. Return formatted number. So what I want to do is something like, I will take this. So what I will return is something like this. But instead of total, what we are gonna use is kind. And instead of this, we will have the unit. Okay. And instead of total gigabytes, we will use FGB str. Okay, so the idea is now we don't need to do this transformation anymore. Let's see, I will have a float in here. And then we will call the string for total is return formatted number, kind, I will say total. The GB, which I will change for value in a moment. It will be f total GB, and the unit will be s unit, even if it's like the predefined value, and I will refactor this for value, because I can use this to format kbytes, bytes later. So I will be able to reuse this the way we are doing. So, sorry. And now I can assert that if I call return format number with total with let's play with a known value here, like 467.95. And yes, we pass here this should be equal to this should be f total, sorry, 467.95. Or so something like that, to make sure that, okay, s total gigabyte not defined. Where is my mistake in 69? Oh yes. So this is not necessary anymore. So I could just print s total. Let's go. Okay, the assertion failed. So why it failed? Because for total it printed this, and this is what I was expecting. So if I print this, it's not exactly the same. Should be. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the, okay. That's the thing, yeah. Okay. So let's gonna do something. Sorry, my bad, because I should not have done this way. I should have embedded in here the exact string I was expecting from this, not doing the replace of the value. So we should do this. When we call return format number with those values, I expect exactly this string. Now is a nice moment to, it works, okay? Now is a nice moment to think about a corner case. So what will happen if I pass this? How it will be rendered? It will have the 2 zeros, it will have just a 0, or it has just 1. So, but if I pass 0 as decimal, there is 0. So we should make our test cases for this. So what we want when we have 0.000 gigabytes, what we want to display. I will say that when we have 0, and I will have like this, we want to get this. So my test is failing, obviously, because it's returning 0.0 as we saw. So we should address that. But first, let me fix that as well. So we will have sUsed is equal to used, okay, and we will have free is equal to with free. We should be passing here fuse gigabytes. This should be f, this should be f. We should pass in here f free gigabytes. And this should be used. And this should be free. Then we should check this as well. So if we pass free and we pass used to keep the same, it should say free, it should say used. And now let's address this case. So the 0, when we call return format number, okay, f value. So what we can do is, if f value equals 0.0, then f value equals 0, which is an integer for real, but so if we run now the test, okay, all the test space. So every time if they paste 0.0, they will get the string formatted correctly. So we are gonna verify some corner cases, like all give the same. Perfect. So now we have jumped from like raw prints to a function that returns the string formatted in the expected way. So we are sure that, at least with the test, we should be sure that everything is as it should. So we have now a code that is more resilient.